And I think that literacy element is important to have that intelligent conversation, because otherwise fear kicks in when you don't understand something and you don't even have a reference framework to be able to start having a conversation, to be part of the dialogue, as you said in the book, really eloquently. It's going to be hard, because the natural human reaction when we don't understand something and it feels threatening, because it can be, as we've seen, then you just sort of close down, you stop thinking and you react instead of actually taking that more of a deliberate sort of balanced approach and say, okay, this is one way of using data and it's definitely bad, but it doesn't mean all data is bad. It doesn't mean every company that's trying to leverage that as an asset have, a dark secret plan to conquer us all or to impair our freedom,
No, absolutely. And you mentioned this idea of fear. And so that's our focus in the first year of our business was on what we call the data phobic individual that is really feeling left behind. They don't feel like it's their thing. They notice data is becoming more and more relevant. They're being asked to do things that they don't feel they have the skills for. And so how can we equip them? How can we make them confident? That's the first question we're trying to solve. We're working on programs now that more address the data worker, people that actually have embraced data for some time, perhaps. But we didn't want to get very far along the road before we started to come up with real resources for individuals that are data phobic, and so you're right. What they'll do if they're data phobic is they'll become defensive, because why wouldn't they? I mean, this is not comfortable to them. It is in some ways maybe making them feel like their contributions aren't as important or valid. Their experience is no longer, or the intuitions even, are no longer not valid, but they're dangerous because data is somehow because of data is better. Data is this perfect decision-making magical engine, but that's also not true at all. And that's a myth we need to, I think, dispel, and so that people can feel more confident and comfortable. Actually, we want their intuition and experience. We want them to bring that to the table, because that might help us understand when there's an issue with the data. That's happened. We've all been in that experience, in that situation where we said, this data doesn't feel right to me. Let's have a conversation about that. We realize there is some issue that needs to be resolved with the underlying data. And then the flip side is true as well. Sometimes the data tells us our intuitions are wrong. And lo and behold, we've been wrong all along. And so I think we need to be creating cultures in which it's okay to have the data prove us wrong. And it's also okay to question the data, because both of those things, to me, are both engines now firing if you're coupling them together, as opposed to the overly simplistic route where you've cut one off.